So why is it that we as empaths keep attracting narcissists, even if we're aware of the fact that we keep attracting narcissists? Like, it's kind of a funny thing, right? Well, let's look at this a little bit deeper, okay? The fact of the matter is that like attracts like, okay? So a narcissist, right? We all know this from doing our research on videos and reading articles and just kind of being around them, that underneath their grandiose sense of self, that extraordinary amount extraordinary amount of self-confidence that they have, underneath all of that, their little games and their show and the facade and all of that is just deeply rooted amounts of insecurity. Tons of insecurity behind that. Because if they were really truly confident in themselves, would they really need to flash how confident they are in themselves? You know, would they really need to manipulate people and put other people down? It's this locus of control that they have. They need to have this control in their life, right? So there's tons of insecurities underneath all of that. The thing about being an empath is that underneath all of our empathic gifts, and I'm one, I know, like I'm talking about myself too, is that underneath all of that is also a lot of insecurity. You know, being an empath is a trauma response from childhood. Now, I know there's some people that are born with a more sensitive nervous system than others, and some people naturally have more of an ability to read the room and, you know, channel the energy more than other people. But a lot of the actions that an empath does, and a lot of their just need to read the room and kind of focus their efforts so externally, right? That is a trauma response from childhood because you didn't feel safe in childhood. That developed a deeply rooted insecurity, right? And so then you go into adulthood, and yes, it's great that it comes with a lot of perks and benefits to be able to read the room, kind of be able to feel the emotions of others so deep. But when you don't have that proper, you know, the strong sense of boundaries and that really strong orbit in yourself, like you can get lost in that really easily. And a lot of times we'll go and attract relationships like narcissists, and because we're just as insecure as they are in a lot of ways if we haven't done the inner work to heal ourselves, right? So like attracts like, insecure attracts insecure. Now, there's nothing wrong with any of this. You know, like the biggest question is, why do we keep attracting narcissists? Well, because we're supposed to attract these narcissists. We're supposed to have them in our lives so that we can uproot these insecurities, to become aware of these insecurities. If you didn't attract narcissists or have these people just completely come into your lives and just destroy you, like emotionally and verbally and psychologically and mentally, then would you have ever moved? Would you have ever become aware of this, any of this stuff? No, you wouldn't have. Like, that's the whole reason all of this exists. And so, yeah, I'm not saying it's fun or great. I mean, it's awful. You know, I'm thinking back to the just sheer amounts of narcissists I've had in my life, friends, girlfriends, family members. It's crazy. And you just don't see it in the beginning. You just don't see it. And you think that they do this amazing job of making it feel like everything's your fault and everything has to do with you, you know? And so like a narcissist needs people in their lives that they can control. That's their insecurity, right? Or a big one right there. If they don't feel like they have total control over you, they're going to use manipulation, psychological and emotional abuse to get their way. And a lot of times as empaths, we're so externally focused, right? As a means to keep ourselves safe and protect ourselves, right? That's our mode of protection, is to focus ourselves externally. But when we don't develop that internal groundedness, that internal orbit on ourselves, you know, that's where problems start right there, right? We're going to keep ourselves externally focused on these narcissists. And that's why empaths most of the time are the codependent ones, right? If the narcissist is happy, then they're happy. You know, if the narcissist is upset or angry or mad or, mad or whatever it is, then the empath feels that. And they'll do anything that they can to, even if it means completely bending to the will of the narcissist, to shift that, right? Because our sense of well-being and our emotional security and emotional self is so geared toward these narcissists, but they know this subconsciously and they're going to take advantage of us. Or even if they aren't conscious of it, or if they are conscious of it, they're thinking that they're totally justified in their ways anyways. And so that brings me to my next point, which is don't get angry at them. You know, I know it's impossible not to. It's a fate, like you should in the beginning, right? You should be angry at the entire situation, at them taking advantage of you and you yourself allowing yourself to be taken advantage of. That's like a very important step because it shows that you're becoming aware of the situation. But this long-term anger, this long-term bitterness, it just completely ruins your life. You know, it's just the way it just is what it is. And so you want to really try your best to let go of that anger, because what good is holding on to that anger if, one, they don't even care, two, it's only hurting you, and three, it's going to affect every relationship that you enter into the rest of your life. You know, you're not going to trust people. Like, not everyone is like that. Not everyone is bad. And this isn't to say that narcissists and empaths don't each of them have redeeming qualities about themselves, right? This is just saying that there's certain aspects in ourselves that are unhealthy and that need to be brought to awareness so that they can be healed, right? You'll know, and this is, at the end of the day, like, it's impossible not to take this super seriously, but really, as time goes on, you'll start to kind of realize that this is just a play of life, and a lot of it is just out of our control. Like, as much as you don't want to keep attracting narcissists, you're just going to keep attracting them until you learn these lessons. And so it just is what it is. None of this is bad or good. It just is what it is. This is the play of life. And you'll know when you're done with this course when you stop attracting narcissists. The people, you know, you want to know a really good way to determine where you're at mentally, emotionally, and spiritually with your healing and your journey is, what type of people are you attracting? Use that as a mirror. Use that as like a gateway into your own conditions, into where you're at, healthy or unhealthy. You're never going to be completely healthy, but there's certain big spiritual boulders that you can move out of the way so that you can finally attract healthy people, right? I mean, empaths and narcissists, it's just like it's that whole relationship is just feeding off of each other's insecurities, right? Empaths kind of think that, you know, and here's the thing about the locus of control is narcissists typically facilitate their control more directly. They're much more in your face about it, right? Even the covert ones, like, they're still kind of more in your face about it. But like the empaths, so they think they're in control. The empaths think they're in control because of their more passive tendencies to externally focus themselves. And they think that they can see things before it's happening. And they, you know, understand like, oh, if I just act this way, or if I just do this or say this, I'll keep them happy. You know, so it's like this false sense of control that each person has, you know. At the end of the day, we're here to transcend this course of life. This is a course of life. If you've been dealt this hand, then good. You know, and I know every narcissistic, empath, codependent relationship is very different. Some are more intense than others. I know there's violence in some of them, and in serious emotional abuse and lifelong trauma, right? And I get that. You know, I've experienced all of it. But the thing to understand is, you know, there's also duality to this too, is if you realize that you still are in this course of life for a little bit, at least try your best to enjoy it. You know, try to find some silver lining while you're going through it, because not everything about these relationships are bad. I mean, there's some good parts of it too. They just usually don't last. Be grateful that you're even coming into this knowledge. And if you have to go through 5 or 6 more toxic relationships, then I guess you got to go through them. There's nothing you're going to be able to do about it anyways. I mean, what's the alternative, right? You know, just never be in a relationship again. I mean, then you're never going to learn, then you're never going to transcend, and you're never going to come to a sense of balance. The goal of this as an empath is for you to develop your own orbit, right? Focus yourself internally, become more grounded, and then you'll notice the relationships you attract are people that are doing the same thing, all right? Yeah, I think that's all I'm going to talk about today. I hope everyone has a great day. Okay.